Saturday, the SEC on CBS featuring quarterback Kyle Trask and the 6th-ranked Gators taking on Tennessee. Get set for kickoff at 3 Eastern with college football today. Then in primetime, Alabama in Baton Rouge for a battle with LSU. That's Saturday, the SEC on CBS. And, you know, Troy Calhoun, 14 years at Air Force. You see the longest tenured coaches right now in FBS. How about Nick Saban? 14 years at Alabama. I feel like he was still talking about staying with Miami.
Yeah.
Safe to say he's had a nice run in Tuscaloosa as Roberts with the first carry to begin the 4th quarter.
This is what Air Force lives for right here. You see the smiles, everybody. They're all smiling because this is what they love. Ground and pound. 3-score lead late in the game. See Peterson's stance like that right there? That means that's usually when something's bothering you a little bit. Trying to get a little stretch on the old hip flexor there. Peterson will still get a couple good blocks here.
He's so vital to what they do. He has 49-yard touchdown reception, his first touchdown in his career, and they go to him again. Catch made by Peterson, knocked down by Shaq Bond. How about that? That's career catch number 5 now.
Yeah, same thing. Right side of your screen. He's going to go right down the seam. It's the same exact play he scored the touchdown on. Much better coverage that time, and he makes a contested catch. Yeah, you almost feel like Air Force is trying to send a message to somebody right now. Still throwing the ball at this point in the game, and I wonder if they just want to make sure that Army is very cognizant. And look, now I told you he's getting stretched out. I told you something was bothering him a little bit, that he had that posture. Now they're massaging his calf. I think Air Force wants to make sure the folks at West Point know they can throw the ball.
Daniels taking the block, and then he was taken down. Slipped, it looked like, as Bond finally knocked him to the turf. I like how you say, message to somebody. Cadets coming up on the 19th of December.
Yeah, good blocks by both the running backs. Roberts gets one. He tried to cut right here. Tell you what, Zeke Daniels has lost his footing a couple times.
Yeah.
He is, you know, a couple times he's tried to cut and his feet have just given out on him.
You mentioned he's from New Jersey. St. John Vianney, which is in Homedale, his high school down on the Jersey Shore. He's got a 2nd and 2 here for the 27. Roberts breaks one tackle down to the 15-yard line. First down run, 12 yards for Brad Roberts.
This is a fullback wind back play. Watch, they get everything going that way, and then they wind it back. Terrific job by King and Merla on the backside. You get flow one way, and then you push on the backside. It's a predetermined cutback, and this is when you really find out about yourself for Utah State, because this is not fun. I mean, you're down 3 scores, and they are just firing off at you. It's time to find out what you got inside your heart.
Go to Roberts again. Change of direction, and he carries them into the end zone. They call him a bowling ball for good reason. Touchdown, Air Force. 34 consecutive points for the Falcons.
They're not going to let up. It's fullback dive. Terrific job by the right side. And the linebacker to that side, Meitzenheimer, I mean, that's his play to make.
Nine plays, they march 83 yards. 3rd to 4th quarter. And the extra point, Schupel's roll, still perfect on the season. Oh, 5 touchdowns now for Roberts and the Falcons. Back to what they do best, on the ground, smash mouth. Let's see who's doing some of the dirty work in tonight's game, brought to you by Coyote Tractor. Let's feature the running backs of Air Force.
Well, it's been a lot of Caden Remsburg. So great for Falcons fans to see him back. And then how about Zeke Daniels? the quarterback with his biggest run of the game, and then right there, Roberts. There's a couple Utah State linebackers there that I thought had better shots at him. As Roberts, he's going to go 3 for 3. He's going to be 3 for 3 in terms of 100-yard games if they keep him out there in the next series.
If they don't, are you going to plead with Troy Calhoun on the air like you did last week when Lance Slide pulled the Buffalo?
No.
Ooh, Gentry hit hard, kept going, and there's a flag on the play. Air Force's Zion Kelly with the initial big hit. And Josh Gentry pushed into kickoff return duties. Again, we said it at the top, Savon Scarver, 6 career kickoff return touchdowns out tonight for Utah State.
Holding, number 29 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
That's Makakona.
And that is not what you want, clearly, to be backed up yet again. Utah State, last couple drives, they've been backed up.
Now, the record isn't where they necessarily wanted to be coming off their first win last week. And Frank Maile, he has been in these parts a long time. I mean, really his whole life. He was born in Utah, first person in his family among his siblings, born in the United States, graduated Utah State in 2007. He's been on the staff every year but 2 since 2009. Beasley picks up a couple of yards on first down. Now Frank Maile, interim coach, second time in his coaching career, replaced Gary Anderson after 3 games, and some of the other replacements that are needed right now around the country.
Interesting year, by the way, to be firing coaches in season with everything that's happened with the pandemic and everything.
Taylor Compton makes the grab, gets out of bounds. Third down coming up for Utah State. Derek Mason of Vanderbilt, another name on that list. Frank Maile spent 2 years on that staff, and when you really know one way, Utah State, living here essentially from childhood into your adult years, those were 2 really valuable years for Frank Maile, learning someone else's system, seeing how others live in another part of the country.
Really liked Frank Maile and enjoyed our conversation yesterday.
3rd and 4, and they'll move the sticks to the outside. And the pass complete to number 81, Tim Patrick Jr., the freshman.
You know, the thing I like the most about Maile is when he said he didn't really try to convince the guys that wanted to go to the transfer portal to stay.
Yeah.
He said, this is not really me. If you don't want to be here, you're not all in 100%, then I don't really want you to be here.
What a catch over the middle. Full extension. Carson Terrell, the senior, hauls it in.
You know, he's known as the blocking tight end, but watch him right side of your screen. He's running a skinny post. Watch him get some air. Beautiful. Beautiful catch by Terrell. Look at that fingertip grab. That was awesome.
Looking to the outside once again. It's Patrick with his second catch of this drive, but going back to Terrell, he's a guy who usually breaks tackles, tries to move it a little further. That time, acrobatic play for the first down.
And these reps are invaluable for young offensive linemen like Alu, for Peasley in his second start, the young receivers like Patrick Jr.
Beasley feels the pressure, hit, intercepted. Air Force's Matthew Malloy. And the Falcons will take over, and boy, Malloy is revved up with a 35-7 lead.
Little surprised that Peasley tried to throw that. There was pressure to his right side, and it looked like they were going to be able to get some pressure on him. I'm surprised he still tried to get that ball off.
Got Peasley bombarded, and Malloy, the freshman, with the pick. After the interception, Hazik Daniels, quarterback, ceding control to Ben Britton, the freshman from Hewitt, Texas, will come under center here for Air Force with 10 minutes to play here in Logan, Utah.
Well, it makes sense to not get Hazik Daniels or any of their starters hurt at this point in the game.
Elijah Robinson dancing with it inside the 40, taken down from behind by James Hansen. So Ben Britton-Ross' only career game was against Boise State. Earlier this year, he attempted one pass, completed it for 31 yards, but a bit unproven. Gets a crack here after Air Force has scored the last 35 points. Utah State, feels like a long time ago, they opened this game with an 8-minute drive, resulting in the Jordan Nathan touchdown.
You don't want to get your starters injured, and it's great to get valuable experience for your backups. How great is it for these guys to get some playing time? Good job letting the play clock wind down as well. Shorten the game as much as you can.
Robinson again, a big fella, stays on his feet. Carving in between the hash marks, and Robinson, first down pickup here for the Falcons.
Another sophomore fullback. They bring in a lot. Just like Navy and Army, Air Force has a prep school where about 50 to 55 guys go each year, and then they'll have another 15 to 20 go direct right to the academy. So they're recruiting 70 to 75 guys a year.
Mention all the new starters this year. Turn back, losing so many guys at least for this season. Robinson again, up the gut, inside the 25-yard line. They'll bring up second down here for Air Force. Under Troy Calhoun, his 14th year at his alma mater. I mean, you look at the coaching staff, 10 guys on the staff are academy graduates, including offensive coordinator Mike Thiessen, Air Force class of 2001. And they have the most graduates on staff in the country. BYU has 7. Wisconsin, Paul Chryst Group, Jim Leonard, defensive coordinator among them, with 5 former Badgers. Second and 5. Robinson again, and brought down low from Nick Henninger. Now for Air Force, Ross, the difference makers are Geico difference makers. Daniels at quarterback, especially with his arm. Got some help from Rimsberg in his return as well on the ground.
Those two guys have been outstanding. Daniels, especially at quarterback, throwing the ball, and then Rimsberg, boy, if you give him the kind of space that he had in the open field tonight, he's going to be able to do serious damage. Utah State never did quite get that pitch responsibility figured out.
3rd and 3, same guy. Elijah Robinson appears to be a yard short. Defensive line, it was stuffed. Big fullback.
And I would expect Air Force to go for it here. I don't think they really need to kick a field goal when they're up by 4 touchdowns as it is. It's more important that they keep the clock going and possess it. They'll wait, take the play clock down. Well, now it looks like they might wait to call timeout. Nope, they're going.
Ben Britton, the quarterback again. Daniels' night looks to be over. Play clock. Just got the snap off in time. Britton keeps it himself. Looks like he's got it, and Air Force will move the sticks and also keep the clock moving with 6:20 left.
Quarterback zone to the right. He gets the backs leading up. Watch. Guidry, number 3. Good block by Robinson, 31. Just gets a couple blocks from his backs. Able to duck in there, get the first down, and that's at least another 2 minutes off the clock.
He's carried the ball 3 times now, Britton. Has picked up 15 yards total. From the 18 now. And pitch. And nothing doing. Utah State up to the task. Jordan Guidry, freshman running back, also from Texas, just like Robinson, is brought down.
How about Miley right there, getting in on the tackle? Keenan Miley, freshman walk-on linebacker, and yes, he is the nephew of Frank Miley, the head coach. He had a heck of a game last week. Blocked punt, fumble recovery for a touchdown, 6 tackles. He was a big reason why Uncle Frank got the win last week.
I haven't mentioned his name a ton. Robinson, big Cole undercut. Well, we're going to mention his name again. Keenan Miley got low to take down Robinson.
He hasn't played a lot in this game. Maybe he should. Take a look at it. He gets in there, boom. Gets the right hand up there, blocks the punt. That was a big play in that game. And then Henniger gets the strip. Miley picks it up. Good scoop and score right there. It was awesome. His uncle, Frank Miley, said that his parents, Keenan's, wanted to come to the game. He said, no, I'm not going to play that much. They came anyway, and they saw him have a breakout game on the defensive side of the ball.
3rd and 5. Robinson extending. Still a few yards short of the first down. We'll see what Troy Calhoun does now. Clock is running, 4:15 left. By the way, is Frank Miley the most famous Uncle Frank since Uncle Frank from Home Alone?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why Keenan Miley didn't play more earlier. He has 3 tackles now. 3 plays in a row, he got the tackle.
There's a great moment on Thanksgiving night. His mom was in the stands to watch him. First night he lined up on defense and played a couple of games on special teams. They go for it, 4th and 2. Britton trying to get to the outside, and I think he's short with 3:37 left, and he is.
Good job by Utah State there. That is something they can build on. I know it might not sound like much, but it's 35-7. Those guys could have packed it in, but they didn't. They refused. They're still playing for Frank Miley.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by RAM, built to serve. By Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Air Force on the road. 35 unanswered points after Utah State. A time-consuming opening drive of this game. It's been all Falcons since. And Andrew Peasley, who was hit, ball spun airborne and was intercepted on the Aggies' last drive. 3:37 left in this one. It's Peasley rolling out and well short. You don't usually see a ball thrown like that for him on the run, because that's where he can be dangerous. 2nd down coming up.
Yeah, well short. He's trying to stretch out his arm a little bit there. Was on the sideline for quite a bit. It's pretty cold out here. I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Every rep in like a 2-minute situation like this, invaluable to a young player like Peasley trying to get experience.
To the outside, right on the hands of Patrick, who's getting some targets here late in the ball game. 1st and 10. Aggies move the chains.
Only Peasley's 2nd start. And they're going to try to build something with that young man for future years. So every rep he gets now.
Quick out once again. Pass complete to Derek Wright. On the other side, Air Force, Ross, you know, we talked about how challenging a year it's been. A couple of cancellations due to concerns about COVID-19. Lost the Wyoming and Colorado State games. They played 1 game in the month of November. I mean, unbelievable to keep that rhythm, motivation, staying sharp. And after a slow start, they looked the part here in Logan tonight. Dangerous pass, could have been picked off, complete to Noah, and he is brought down. Big tackle by Jace Waters for the Falcons.
Jace Waters, a sophomore from Allen, Texas. They play football in Allen, Texas. That is serious ball, and a nice job. Good close there by Waters.
That tackle brings up a 3rd down here in the closing minutes. Peasley on the hands and incomplete off of Quentin Hadnot. He really came alive, we said at the top. Third quarter last week against New Mexico. You see the numbers. Ran for the 62-yard touchdown, but different story after the opening drive here tonight.
Yeah, well, two things. Number one, Air Force has a better defense than New Mexico. And number two, Air Force had the benefit of really seeing what Beasley was all about.
Nakakona bobbles his a forward pass, and it's incomplete. Air Force, one game left against Army, on the verge of another win. Closing moments in Logan, Utah. Air Force on top of Utah State 35-7. Oh, Ross Tucker, this the story we had to tell before this one was over. That is Utah State's Alei Motuapuaka, the sophomore from Honolulu, Hawaii. Not one, not two, 7-time world champion fire dancer.
That is unbelievable. I've been to Hawaii a couple times, and I've seen the fire dancers. Absolutely incredible. I always wonder, how do you start that? How does one start a fire dancing career?
Yeah, it's a big first step, isn't it?
Interesting here. Air Force takes a knee, and Frank Maile calls timeout. That's a little surprising to me. Air Force is trying to call timeout and end the game without running more plays and putting another touchdown on the board. Frank Maile is going to call timeout, down 28 points.
They had Jensen Jones, Troy Calhoun did, to take the knee. Up in tonight's installment of Air Force's Greatest Legends, brought to you by The Exchange. We go back to Jacoby Owens, his performance in November 2016 against Army in West Point. 46-yard touchdown catch. He ran for another, scored 59 yards. 31-12 victory to win the Commander-in-Chief trophy. Last time Air Force won it, trying to do it again in a couple of weeks.
Yes, and now Air Force will run plays instead.
Elijah Robinson picking up the carries here in the fourth quarter, right up the gut. And Frank Maile will use another timeout to stop the clock, leaves them with one left, 2:01 to play.
I think Frank Maile is trying to send a message to his team about never giving up and keep fighting till the very end. But if that was the case, I really don't know why they punted on 4th and inches a couple series ago.
Now look at the Commander-in-Chief's trophy. Air Force, big win over Navy back in early October. Army, Navy, and West Point coming up next weekend. And then Army will stay at Mikey Stadium. Air Force making the cross-country trip.
Yeah, you never see that right there. Navy at Army.
That's
it's
great.
Never at Army. It's the Navy. It's the Army-Navy game, usually in Philly or Baltimore or whatever.
Whole new dynamic for so many reasons in 2020. I'll bring it to the Hudson Valley. Stick with the big fella, Elijah Robinson, and finally the whistle stops the play and allows Frank Maile to use another timeout with 1:53 left. Another big weekend on the gridiron. From Thursday night in the Mountain West to Saturday, 3:30 Eastern. Full slate of action, beginning with the star of last week, Jarrett Patterson, taking aim at Ohio, 3:30 Eastern. And later in the Mountain West, Colorado State, San Diego State, Wyoming, and New Mexico. Let's go back to Jarrett Patterson. Ross, we were there in Buffalo. 8 touchdowns, matching the FBS record against Kent State.
Unbelievable. And the first 2 we show there, he wasn't even touched. This one I was telling everybody to stop hugging him and put him back in the game at that point.
Work on our ability to relay down to the sideline in the future. Jones.
He got it.
Kept it on the option. Donald Tatum last to get him.
Now they can take a knee. Utah State's out of timeouts.
Oh, Ross, it was special last weekend, wasn't it, Jared Patterson? But for you, your most memorable broadcasts?
Well, that first one right there was my first game ever, triple overtime. And then to see my alma mater win the state championship and to call that game, I'll never forget. And even on the radio a few years ago, the Jaguars upsetting the Steelers. Wow, that was a shocker.
Jones hit hard, shy the 10-yard line. So the Jared Patterson game into the select group for you in your, what, 13, 14 years on the mic?
Yeah. Well, now what's interesting is Air Force can take a knee and end the game, but they're not. They're still running plays. You know what? This is an interesting end-of-game situation right now. I think now Air Force realized, hey, we can just take a knee again. So now they're going to go back to that. And in fact, they only have to take one more knee once the game clock goes under 40 seconds.
Oh, we saw the graphic that was just shown on the bottom of your screen, averaging 336.5 per game. They were at 337 as Jones takes the knee with 30 seconds left. Air Force, first game in 2 weeks, 3-2. Utah State will fall here against Air Force, second straight win of the series for the Falcons. Canyons off in Logan. Frank Miley's team, great start with that big opening drive, but 35 unanswered to close for Troy Calhoun and Air Force here tonight.
Didn't show a whole lot of rust like you might think for Air Force coming off of the canceled game. And now they got a lot of time before they play the Black Knights on December 19th. I mean, they got 16 days to get healed up, to get healthy, to get ready to go, and to try to bring the Commander-in-Chief trophy back to Colorado Springs for the first time in a number of years.
I know, here in the altitude of Logan, 4,500 feet above sea level. Colorado Springs, 6,600 feet at altitude. That's why they've designed a run game that has lasted them for decades. Air Force's ground attack spurring them here tonight. They also opened it up for their quarterback, Hazik Daniels, as they line up the Air Force Academy alma mater here at Maverick Stadium, Merlin Olsen Field in Logan, Utah.
Utah State doing a chant quick.
Remember, these two schools met for the first time in 1969. They didn't meet again until 2013 upon Utah State's entrance into the Mountain West. And this latest meeting to the Falcons. Not the typical
A little different without the band there, huh? You can barely hear them. No music.
Now 5,000 were allowed in tonight, and the couple that remain taking part in the tradition here on the road. Daniels and the Falcons, winners tonight. Third win for Air Force over Utah State, 35-7 the final on CBS Sports Network.